We can start now. Sí. Hoy tenemos la pregunta, ¿cuál es esta clase? Which one is this class? La semana que viene, la próxima semana es la última clase del otoño. So we do have class today and we have class next week, and then we have our little hiatus for winter. And Scottsdale asks us to let people know registration is still open. I think they talk about, actually, we're in good shape, but if there are any other classes where you're afraid a class might get canceled, and it's like, you're kind of putting off signing up, that they make those decisions around around Christmas time. So you will want to sign up for things if you're kind of on the it's tough. We're all spending a lot of money at Christmas time, aren't we? Maybe just me. Okay. Vale, vamos a empezar esta noche. Espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope you guys are well. Aquí viene Carlos también. Vamos a ver. We're going to take a look at these impersonal phrases tonight. We're going to take a look at impersonal phrases, and maybe get time to squeeze in some poem para either tonight or next week. Depends a little bit. Bueno, frases impersonales. I hope you had a little fun with the silly little "my dog ate it" video from last week. That was kind of cute. But it kind of showed how these do come up quite often. These little phrases do come up, and they are part of the weirdo acronym, which I'll put it up on the screen. A lot of you have heard this before. Vale la pena repetir. It's worth it to repeat this because this is something that a lot of you kind of are familiar with, but we need to kind of remind ourselves from time to time. Momentito. Bueno, there is an acronym called weirdo, and that is just something to help English speakers, because I don't think the French speakers among us need a reminder of this, because they have subjunctive, which probably follows fairly similar type rules. We need to have certain conditions present. Certain conditions will kick in and require use of subjunctive, and that means there's certain types of verbs or certain structures that signal, put up a red flag and say, ooh, hey, watch out, subjunctive is coming. And those kinds of red flags, or what we like to call them triggers. I don't know how it got that, but trigger, because it sets up a condition. They are verbs of wishing, wanting. So you'll notice I'm not putting an actual verb in here. It can be any verb that indicates somebody wishes or wants something. Okay, querer, desear, maybe even something like preferir kind of sort of fits into that. Okay, the E in that stands in for verbs of emotion. And this is one that English speakers have a tough time with, because it's like, why does that use subjunctive? Don't worry about why. I can't give you a why. It evolved with the language. It just does. Verbs of emotion. So alegrarse de, estar contento, estar triste, even me gusta. If you not the me gusta esquiar, I like to ski. Me gusta que aprendas a esquiar. I like it that you're learning to ski. I like it that que you are learning to ski. that kind of, it can be any kind of verb that talks about emotion. And then here's the one we're working with this week, the impersonal phrases or sentences or whatever you want to call them. So what that means is it always starts with es, it's always got an adjective of some sort, and then that que and a new person. Yeah, a new person, a new subject. That's what that uses, right? Es with an adjective que. Now that adjective, to use subjunctive, should not be a word. It should not be an adjective that says anything involving truth. So we have to rule out of this frases impersonales. We have to rule out things like es verdad, es obvio, es cierto. Those three, if you boot out those three because they talk about certainty, the other ones are going to fit pretty much most of the time. I'm sure there's some other expression there I haven't given, but it's going to work for you, okay? Verbs of recommendation. Any verb that talks about recommending something, suggesting something. Okay. Bien, asking that somebody does something. That could still be, I guess, kind of interpreted as a recommendation. Verbs of doubt, and that is, you know, dudar, to doubt. That's also something like no creo que, I don't think that. That falls in that category. Verbs of doubt, verbs of emotion, those two with the weirdo acronym, reasons for using subjunctive. Wow, we English speakers have a hard time with those. The verbs of emotion and the verbs of doubt. And the verbs of doubt because we overthink it. We start to really make it a philosophical or, as my husband does, a 0 and 1, either true or not true situation, and we overthink it. So just know if we talk about doubt or if you think something isn't true, that will trigger subjunctive. And then the last one, which is the absolute easiest of all, which is, of course, ojalá. And everybody loves ojalá. Ojalá es fácil. Ojalá. Ojalá, which does not have a really super good translation. Ojalá, it can be used with or without que. This alone, really, in this group, might skip a que, or people might use the que regionally, depending on what they like. I prefer to use the que, but some people just omit it all the time, and that's also considered okay. Ojalá comes, of course, from that Arabic phrase, and literally meaning something in the neighborhood of God willing. Yeah. Yeah, because we've got Allah in there. Allah, would to God that this would happen. Yeah. But in English, functionally, what we would normally say to convey an idea similar to this would be in English, something like hopefully. Okay, that comes close enough. Okay, so they mentioned in that little video weirdo, but they did not really explain what that is. So for those of you who might not have seen it, it is just a mnemonic device to help English speakers who have very little subjunctive in our language. Yeah, to kind of remember what the conditions are that will set that up. Y esta razón, este motivo, this reason is the one that we are working today, impersonal phrases. And we're working this because it is the easiest, that along with ojalá, they are the two easiest ones to do, because you just say, okay, if I've got this condition, I use subjunctive. Bien? Okay. Vale.
Pregunta.
Sí, dime.
If you start a sentence with ojalá, will it always then be subjunctive?
It will be yeah, sí. Ojalá que llueva la semana que viene. ojalá que tenga dinero suficiente para comprar regalos de Navidad, por ejemplo, ¿sí? Ojalá que llegue pronto mi hija desde su oficina, ¿sí? Después de su trabajo. Ojalá. But ojalá, some people omit the word que, some people use it. So you get a little tiny bit of an option. All the other ones will use a que. See, bien. Ojalá will always use subjunctive. It just does. Unless you use it by itself. Just ojalá. like the I wish word. Yeah, and if you just say I wish and you don't include any other information, you might hear ojalá used by itself. But otherwise, when it includes more information, it will be subjunctive kind of stuff. Bien. Vale. Entonces, so moving on from that, ¿hay alguna pregunta? Is there any question about these impersonal phrases or anything that puzzles you before we start practice on this? Sí o no?
No.
And I'm putting up our list. These are not all of the impersonal phrases. You will never find a list in a book that lists every single one, because es difícil, it's hard. Es difícil, es casi imposible que una lista incluya todas las expresiones en expresiones impersonales. But these are just some very, very common ones that you will in chit chat hear quite a lot. Okay, vale. ¿Cuáles son sus ejemplos? ¿Cuáles son sus ejemplos? ¿Tienen ustedes ejemplos? Do you guys have some examples you want to share?
Yes. Es una lástima que el tiempo esté mal.
Perfecto, sí. Es una lástima, it's a shame. Es una lástima que el tiempo esté mal, ¿sí? Shame, the weather is lousy, ¿sí? Que es una lástima que haga otra manera de expresar la misma idea. Es una lástima que haga mal tiempo. It's a shame that it's bad weather.
Okay.
Es otro verbo que es equivalente aquí, ¿ok? Vale. Oh, bueno, tienes, Patricia, ¿tienes otro ejemplo también? Do you have another example too?
I had one. Actually, it was the same one, but a different ending.
Okay.
Es una lástima que los postres tengan tantas calorías.
Bien. Okay. Vale. Sí. And is there anybody who has a question on how to form these little subjunctive verbs? No. Es fácil. Sí. Okay. Bueno, hay otro ejemplo.
I have some.
Dale.
Es raro que María vea las javelinas en su barrio en la ciudad en Nueva York.
Sí, sí, eso.
Es probable que todos ellos no viven ahí.
Ok, sí. Es cierto, y ustedes van a escuchar la diferencia. Es cierto, es verdad que es verdad que hay javelinas aquí en mi barrio
Sí.
esta noche, que hay, pero es probable que haya javelinas en nuestro barrio hoy. Okay.
Mhm.
Es verdad would use just hay, but es probable would use haya, o es posible, haya, even es imposible, will use haya, es imposible, ¿sí? Bien, perfecto. Bueno, otro ejemplo. Carlos,
No,
¿tienes más? Do you have some more?
Okay, I have some.
Okay.
Okay. Boogers.
Okay, try the word. I know, they're long words. Increíble.
Increíble que tú eres seguro.
Okay. That you are safe or that you are sure?
Either one. I was thinking safe, but
Okay,
sure.
seas,
Oh, Sam.
¿sí? Seas, if you're using estar, estés.
Okay,
¿Sí?
so how should that sentence go?
Seas es la forma de tú para ser,
Okay,
¿sí?
yeah.
Es posible o es probable que está seguro o que es probable que esté seguro. It's probable that he is sure about something. Okay.
Okay. But if you're saying
Es
that someone is safe,
ser, sí. Bien. So seas would be the form for tú, right?
okay.
Estar would be the form for tú, estés. So those are the two there. Ser tiene formas irregulares. Sí, sea, seas,
Okay.
sea, seamos, sean. ¿Ok?
Okay.
Vale.
Okay.
Bueno. Otro. Bueno, Esteban, let's get you in and then we'll do a little round
Okay.
table.
After I wrote this down, I thought maybe I made a mistake, but I'm going to say it anyway because it sounds right to my ears. So correct me, por favor.
Okay.
Es malo que el gobierno haya cerrado, actually, I should say haya cerrado la línea a Sonoyota.
Okay. Es malo que el gobierno
Haya
cerrado, has closed.
has closed.
Oh, the border, yeah.
Sí, haya cerrado la frontera, ¿sí? La frontera. Oh, and I think
Yeah,
it frozen us.
Sí, pero no, yo puedo normalmente, yo puedo decir la línea.
Sí,
Es igual. La línea es la frontera
sí.
entre México y los Estados Unidos.
Okay. Okay.
He froze.
Yeah,
está
we're getting a little frozen, a little bit of
funcionando.
in and out dropping here, para que sepas, so you know. There may be some little tweak you can do. So, sí, como, sí, él va a arreglar, sí, he's going to fix some stuff here. Okay, bien. Susana.
Sí, es dudoso que mi hermana me visite o visite esta Navidad.
Okay, vale, perfecto, muy bien. Bueno, Bárbara, ¿tienes algo?
Sí, es raro que los chicos lleguen temprano.
Sí, es raro que los chicos lleguen temprano. Sí, es muy raro. Bueno, Patricia.
I didn't know what this word meant, so I had to look it up. But that's what I used. The imprescindible. Is that how you say-
Imprescindible.
Yeah, I didn't-
Qué buena palabra, imprescindible.
But
Es
once I
como
looked it up,
necesario.
they told me it meant essential or
Sí,
necessary. So,
Es como
in other words-
esencial, necesario, absolutamente necesario, sí.
So what I thought was, cuando viajar a otro país, es imprescindible que tenga un pasaporte válido.
Sí, perfecto. Un pasaporte válido, sí. Eso es, muy bien. Bueno, a ver, sí. Pregunta, Bárbara.
Tengo un poco más si quieres escuchar. Um, ¿Otra frase o no?
Perdona.
Tengo otra frase.
Oh, sí, sí.
Sí.
Sigue, sigue. Juan.
¿Es posible que los coyotes vayan esta noche?
Ok. Ok, vale, muy bien. Sí, sí.
Y vayan es irregular
Sí, vayan viene de ir.
de ir, sí.
Ir. There are only a few things where I'll put it up here so that you see the dishes, and I left out my ache. I'm gonna squeeze in my
Dishes.
I'm gonna squeeze in my sole entry here for dishes. Yeah, ache. The only one you need right now is aya. There are more forms of that, but only when we use compound tenses. So when you just want to use the there is, there are, it's aya. Here are the irregulars for subjunctive formation, and that means they don't follow the rule of start with yo, because I don't have a yo that ends in an o. That's why. That's the only reason. So ir gets, vaya, vayas, vayamos, vayan. All those, ¿sí? Okay. Bien. Vale. Sorry. And actually, when you think of that vaya con Dios, the link between commands and subjunctive is a very fine line, the link between those. The way we form a lot of usted commands really follows that same thing as the subjunctive formation. So if you're familiar with hearing commands like vaya con Dios, right, which is, actually just something people say when you leave, when you go on a journey, right? You'll recognize some of those little kind of words from that. Bueno, otro ejemplo. Sí, Marlene.
Es recomendable que nosotros hagamos ejercicio todos los días.
Es recomendable que hagamos ejercicio. Sí, hagamos ejercicio. Voy a mostrarles algo. I'm going to show you something that I hope will help a little bit, because I'm hearing this from time to time. Y es muy normal. This is very normal. So no, a lot of these nosotros forms, we might be thinking, ooh, there's a lot of syllables there. What do I punch harder? Right? So let's take a look at that so that you know which syllable to put the emphasis on, okay? Because it can be tricky when you get into long thing. And all of the nosotros forms are longer words. So let's take a look at just a couple of those. Bien. Okay. Vale. Vayamos, hagamos, tengamos, right? The amos or hemos was what is going to get more of a punch. You're not going to see a whole lot of accent marks with these nosotros forms. And actually, that's just because all of these follow the pattern that Spanish has. When a word ends in S, the natural way for us to or the natural syllable for us to punch harder is the second from the last. Yeah, the second from the last. So if these all the nosotros ends in S. So that means we don't punch the end. We're likely not to punch the beginning. We punch the vowel before the mos part, right? Amos or hemos, ¿sí? Bien. So it won't be hagamos, it'll be hagamos, yeah? If you're using ser, seamos, sí, seamos, sí. Bien, but tengamos, hagamos, vayamos, así, like that. It's just the natural stress that Spanish has anyway. Okay, vale. Hay más ejemplos aquí. More examples. Okay, bueno, sí, Kathy.
Oops.
Es bueno que aprendamos español.
Es bueno que aprendamos español. It's good that we're learning Spanish. Perfecto, sí, muy bien. Vale. Hay otro. Susana, sí.
Sí, es preferible que los estudiantes completen sus tareas antes de clase.
Ok, bien, sí. Bueno, Bárbara.
Ok. Es bueno que los estudiantes coman antes de escuela.
Sí, perfecto. Muy normal, muy normal. Excelente. Ok, vale. Mary, ¿tienes algo? Were you raising your hand to speak?
Es importante que desme mi dinero.
Una vez más, one more time.
I tried again. Es importante que tú desme mi dinero.
Oh, que tú me des dinero. Que tú me des dinero.
Yes.
I got a little turned around because of your word order there. Okay. Es importante que me des dinero. Es lo que digo a mi esposo siempre. Sí, es importante que me des dinero. It's important you give me some money, ¿sí? Bien. Ok, me gusta mucho. Vale, bueno, hay otros ejemplos aquí.
I have one.
Sí, Patricia.
Okay. Es posible que mi esposo no necesite el andador o el bastón. And this is where I get confused. Por Navidad or
Para Navidad.
para? Okay.
Para
Put
Navidad.
it down, but I thought that was wrong, so I changed
For
it to
Christmas,
Yeah,
no?
by
See?
Christmas. Well, it's by
Oh,
Christmas.
Okay, by Christmas is
Yeah.
para Navidad because that's a deadline.
Okay, that's why, because it's a deadline. Okay.
Sí, eso es. Okay, that's a
Thank you.
deadline. Okay. Para Navidad could also mean for Christmas, like it's going to be
Mhm.
something I have, as a gift. But para Navidad. Okay.
Okay.
Vale.
Thank you.
Perfecto, perfecto. Bueno, otras ideas. Bárbara, sí.
Let's see. Es urgente que la chica vaya al hospital.
Es urgente que vaya al hospital. Yeah, sí, es urgente. Sí, sí, sí. Bien. Okay. All of these impersonal phrases, all you need to know is, it's a formula that will require that when we have that word que, right? And as I showed you in that little "My dog ate the report" video, if we get rid of the que and we just use an infinitive, it's also grammatically correct, but then it no longer talks about somebody specific. Then it talks about any old Tom, Dick, or Harry in the world, or the population in general, one could say as well. Okay. So these kind of phrases, they kind of impose an opinion. Think of it that way. An opinion, an impression, a subjective judgment. That's kind of why these work the way they do. Okay, vale. Hay más ejemplos, more examples. ¿Sí o no?
Pregunta.
Sí.
I tried this. Es terrible que las políticas estadounidenses nos debido como una nación.
Nos,
De cu-
oh,
de
nos
cu-
divida, nos divida,
Sí, 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 sí.
nos divida, sí, that they nos
Pregunta
dividan.
es, mi pregunta es, ¿las políticas estadounidenses es personal o no?
Personal. Es descripción. Los políticos estadounidenses habla de la región o del país
Sí,
y nada más. ¿Sí? Sí, políticos estadounidenses simplemente es descripción del país de origen y nada más.
no subjuntivo.
Subjuntivo, sí.
Oh, sí.
Sí, es terrible
Mhm.
que nos dividan. Dividir es an IR verb, sí,
Yes,
que nos
sí.
dividan. That they divide us.
Yeah.
Sí, eso, sí. Bueno, hay más ejemplos que ustedes quieren practicar un poquito. Aquí, Mary.
Es terrible que, perdón, la guerra sea en todo el mundo.
Otra vez. I think your cough got a little in the way for me getting there.
Pardon. Es terrible que la guerra, I think it's sea en todo el mundo.
Is all over the world. I'm missing
Yes.
the little, your noun there.
I think it's sea.
No, sea, sí, entiendo. I got the sea. Your word after que.
Es terrible que la guerra.
La guerra.
La guerra.
La guerra.
La guerra. Sí,
La
sí.
guerra. La
Yeah.
guerra, sí, la guerra, sí. Sí. Eso sí, sí. Bien.
Would it be sir or estar?
Would it be, yeah.
Sir is a fact, estar is where it is.
Creo que sería más natural. Es terrible que haya guerra.
Okay. Yeah.
Creo que es más, que suena más natural, sí. Es terrible que haya guerra en el mundo. Sí.
Entiendo.
Para mí parece más natural expresar con haya.
Okay.
Ok, bien. Bien. Es terrible que la guerra exista en el mundo.
Sí.
Sí, de existir, exista. Que la guerra exista.
Sí.
Eso también, ¿sí? No hay una sola, no hay un solo verbo, no hay una sola palabra que funciona aquí, ya. Sí, bien. Vale, bueno, otras ideas. Sí, bueno, Kathy.
Es probable que mañana haga sol.
Eso sí, bien. Es probable que haga sol, es probable que haga fresco, es probable que haga fresco mañana. ¿Sí? El pronóstico nos dice que las temperaturas van a bajar un poquito mañana. ¿Sí? Bien. Bueno, vale. Más observaciones. Es muy común usar todo esto con el clima. It's very common that we use this with weather expressions, right? Because, sí, es probable que llueva en la próxima semana, porque no sabemos exactamente. Eso sí. Bien. all of these things don't, often with weather, that subjunctive comes up a lot when we're talking about what will happen, if we're talking about future, right? Because it's an iffy kind of thing. Vale, bueno, hay otros ejemplos que quieren compartir con el grupo. Carlos, sí.
Es imposible que él no sepa de la gran brecha en oportunidades en su comunidad.
Ok, sí. Sepa es buen verbo, sí. To know about stuff. Sepa, sí. Es probable que ustedes sepan, sepan muchas expresiones impersonales ahora después de practicar. Así, ¿ok? Vale, hay más ejemplos. Any other examples you want to share? Sí, Bárbara.
Es improbable que haya bastante comida para todas las familias en todo el mundo.
Eso sí, sí, exacto. Exacto, muy bien. Bueno, ustedes tienen buenos ejemplos esta noche. Entienden bien, you understand well. ¿Sí? ¿Hay alguna pregunta de la función o no? ¿Ahora es algo más obvio? ¿Es un poquito más natural? ¿Un poquito?
Sí. Y hay otros ejemplos donde usamos el infinitivo.
Sí, sí, sí. Ok. Eso es, sí. Por ejemplo. Pues, vale. Lo importante es entender que la estructura que usamos is la clave. The structure we use is important. It's going to dictate just hanging with the infinitive or using subjunctive. But anytime I mention a human being, we're going to need that structure that uses subjunctive. Entonces, por ejemplo, es probable que, no, perdón. Es posible. Es posible que mi esposo maneje a casa. It's possible that my husband is driving home because I put mi esposo in. Es posible manejar a la oficina en 20 minutos. Es posible manejar a la oficina en 20 minutos. Aquí no tenemos la palabra que y no menciono, no me refiero a la persona que es mi esposo. When we pull out the word que, when we don't mention a person, it's going to just flip back to that easier for us structure of just using an infinitive. ¿Sí? O, por ejemplo, es raro manejar en la autopista 101. It's weird driving on the 101. It's weird out there, folks. And that means I'm talking about for everybody and every single person that's on that thing we call the 101. Es raro manejar en el 101. It's weird driving on the 101. You get a lot of weird people on there, ¿sí? Okay. Es raro, pero si o cuando incluyo la palabra que y una persona es otra cosa, ¿sí? Es raro que el adolescente maneje en la autopista. ¿Sí? Es raro. Wow, strange that teenager is driving on the 101, ¿sí? For whatever reasons. No tiene licencia, no sé, algo así, ¿ok? Vale. Bien. So we need to have the structure follow these rules to use that. I'm going to point out one other little thing which kind of goes into pronunciation here. These subjunctives are going to require that we get that syllable very, very exact. I'm going to show you why. Maneje is the subjunctive from manejar, ¿sí? Maneje, but maneje, ¿sí? Maneje, subjuntivo. Maneje es otra cosa. Un momentito. Maneje es otra cosa. If I punch the last syllable, it becomes something totally different. Yeah. Manejé es pretérito para yo. Manejé es I drove. It's talking about a fact, something I did an hour ago, yesterday, last week. I don't know, no sé. Sometime. But notice getting that punch on the right syllable is important because a lot of these verbs, if they end in an e, if you punch the end, you make it a preterite. Okay. Otro ejemplo de esto, another example of this. Para que sepan, so you know, because when you say these, it can cause confusion if you punch the wrong syllable. Okay. Hable es subjuntivo, ¿sí? Es importante que el alcalde hable. It's important that the mayor speaks to the group, ¿sí? Al grupo, por ejemplo. Pero es importante pronunciar esta frase así. Es importante que el alcalde hable al grupo. No se pronuncia, es importante que el alcalde hable al grupo. Hable causa confusión. If you pronounce that verb as hable, you will really confuse people because hable means I spoke. If you punch the wrong syllable on these, you might wind up with a kind of a confused look on somebody's face because this verb means I spoke and or I talked. And the spelling is exactly the same, but one carries an accent mark that punches a different syllable, right? Y es importante. It's really, really important, right? Even though they're spelled alike, the syllable they stress is very, very different. So if you pronounce the alcalde phrase with hable, you'll get a confused look because hable means I spoke. And they'll say, I thought you were talking about the mayor, and it'll take them, you got to like stop a beat to think about that it should be hable. So, kind of watch that when you have stress because punching that end often does something like a preterite kind of meaning. Okay. Para que sepan, so that you're aware of that. In our speaking, that can be kind of an issue. Ok. Bien. ¿Hay otra pregunta o no? ¿No? Ok. ¿Todo claro? All pretty clear? ¿Sí? Bien. Vale. Bueno. A ver, I don't know if we'll get time. Ooh, you know what? I'm just going to preview so you know what's coming up, because this is related to the topic of subjunctive. We're going to have, this is something you'll be doing, and I'm mentioning it now because it's on the topic of the subjunctive. It's going to be kind of a longish video. I am not going to play all of it because it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's a parody. It's a parody. It's meant to be funny, not to be serious. Survival rules. He's kind of doing a parody on this is like, I remember having to see Rambo movies with dates many, many years ago. Oh my gosh, he's taking me to a Rambo movie. Okay, now I know there are many Rambo fans, so okay, if you're a Rambo fan, have fun with that and enjoy it. And with my blessing, because it takes all kinds. So this is all meant as so that he's just doing a parody. It's not meant to be something super serious. But you're going to notice this is going to be one of your videos to watch, or actually your sole video, I think we'll have. And this is going to be something where you're going to see a lot of subjunctive come in. It's not a video that was made to teach subjunctive by any means, but it shows how frequently subjunctive can come up. And I would wager that about maybe 30 or 40% of the verbs he's going to use in here, you're going to wind up hearing about that much subjunctive. You're going to get with this a set of, I don't think I included this last week. You're going to get a set of vocabulary. Some of the issue with this will just be vocabulary. Okay, so you'll get vocabulary that you can kind of scan this ahead of time so that you know what he's talking about. There will be some words that you'll miss, like, pantano, living where we do. How much need do you have for the word swamp? Not a whole lot. Yeah. So to kind of save you from having to look a lot of stuff up, you'll have some vocabulary pages referring to words that he uses. But he uses a lot of frases impersonales, and he did not make this video with the intention of, I'm going to teach impersonal phrases. So I've marked these all with time markers so that you know when they're coming up. And I'm just pointing out how often, especially in instructional kind of videos, which is what this is in a tongue-in-cheek way, you're going to have a lot of these frases impersonales, but you're also going to find a lot of other subjunctive that is not tied to frases impersonales, not tied to those. So I want you to kind of know where they are in the video. I don't want you to look up every word. I want you to go for the big idea. Yeah. And know that, be aware of how often we need subjunctive. Now, you don't need to, outside of the frases impersonales, outside of those, which are kind of familiar with, you may not know all of the triggers or the reasons, but I want you to see if you can figure out maybe why subjunctive is used. Maybe guess why. We'll talk about it next week. Yeah. And that's going to be kind of a lot to digest. So I'm not going to give a lot beyond this video as homework. I will ask that maybe you come in with one or two additional examples using ojalá or a frase impersonal. Now that you've gotten your feet wet a little, do maybe 2 or 3 examples, nothing more. And then watch the video and use this list of vocabulary and time markers to notice. What's going to be important is you're not going to know every reason for knowing you're not going to know or understand every single reason for using the subjunctive. So for you to speak using it all the time accurately is not a realistic goal right now. I do want you to start noticing when native speakers use it. Notice that they're using it and maybe ponder, is this just a pattern I should get used to? Or can I figure out a pattern that maybe might come up frequently that I need to be on the lookout for? Yeah. In listening comprehension. All right. So that's where we're going to go for the coming week. Bien? Todo bien? And we'll come back and we'll talk about that next week. Reasons that is going to pop up here and there. So don't pressure yourself to be able to use it in every single circumstance, but do think about listening for it so that you start to notice patterns of when it will be used, so that it will start to maybe sound more natural, even if you cannot speak using it in every single circumstance. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Bien.
Vale. Okay. A ver. Pam, 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 pam. We had a lot of people asking for a review with por en para. Por y para. Bien? Sí. This may carry over into next week, kind of depending on how tonight goes. Sí? Depende. Okay. Por y para, por y para. Por y para. The biggest, shall I call it a lie? The biggest lie, yes, that is told is that por en para, well, for. Okay. It's kind of, yeah, it's not really a lie, but it's a little bit misleading. Yeah. All right. Sí, para es for. Por sometimes means for, but por doesn't always mean for. Yeah. There are two words when you look them up in the dictionary, you'll see for, but it really goes quite a lot beyond that. It goes back to long roots in Latin and the fact that there were a couple different words in Latin, and those morphed into different things in different languages. But in Spanish, por en para, both get translated as for, and that doesn't always really help us. All right. What should you know? What you should know is that you should be aware of certain patterns. Whenever the idea we want to express indicates an end point, something that winds up there in a specific place, para is probably the word you want. Okay. There are certain patterns you can listen for that will be natural. Another pattern that we'll use para a lot is that in many, many, many high percentage of situations where you just plug in an infinitive, probably it will be para. Not 100%, but often. Whenever what you mean to say is in order to do something, yeah? When the meaning you want to convey is in order to do this, and it'll be para and an infinitive. And you don't have to think real hard about that, okay? Por ejemplo, para cocinar esta noche, necesitamos verduras. In order to cook tonight, we need veggies. Yeah. And you can switch the order. Necesitamos verduras para cocinar. Yeah. You can flip the order of that. No importa, doesn't matter. Okay. So in many, many instances, when we mean in order to do something, just know it just uses para. And if you just memorize that, it's easier than trying to go through a lot of mental gymnastics. Okay. There are a few situations where you'll hear of por and an infinitive, but they're kind of advanced. They're probably not things you're going to be likely to use in conversation a lot. So generally para and an infinitive in most cases. Okay. Bien. Para is always going to indicate that end point. Okay. And I'm going to stress this. If the end point is related to time, you need para. See? Like the guy with the dog that ate the report. El reporte es para las 5. The report is for 5 o'clock, but no, we'd probably say it's due by 5 o'clock. Yeah. So in that case, para, we're not really translating as for. You would probably express it in English, not as for at all. Oh, you might say the report is for 5 o'clock, but I don't know. That sounds a little awkward. Yeah. The report is due by 5 o'clock, and es para las 5. El reporte es para mañana. It's still time. El reporte es para viernes. It's due on Friday. Para there is talking about a deadline, an end point that's related to time. Okay. All right. Sí, bien. Deadlines use para because a deadline is an end point. It means I want to wind up there. Yeah. See? You may hear para used instead of that simple word instead of using to. See? Vamos al parque. Vamos para el parque. Intercambiables. Those are interchangeable. They convey the exact same meaning. Yay. Somebody just chooses to use one preposition instead of the other. Yeah. Para kind of indicates, a place I want to wind up, a place that's going to be X on the map. That's para, see? Salgamos para la oficina. Let's leave for the office, meaning we want to end up at the office instead of, see? Instead of using So again, para may indicate where we want to wind up in time. It might indicate where you want to end up as a place, in space and in time, in space and in time. Okay. Un contraste, a contrast. Let's look at time with por. Sometimes we use para with time, and then we're indicating a deadline. But if we're talking about duration, meaning how long something goes on, then it needs to be por. Okay. Tenemos clase por hora y media. We have class for an hour and a half, meaning it lasts that long. El político habló por una eternidad. A politician spoke for an eternity. Guy en el debate habló por una eternidad. On and on and on. Duration. Oh, a duration that had no end at all. But, usually it has a duration. See? Hervimos el huevo por 8 minutos. We're boiling the egg for 8 minutes. Por 8 minutos. Okay? Duration of time. Duration of time is por. Deadline with time. That's para. Bien. Okay. We talked about time. Now we're going to talk about space. Yeah. location. See? Vamos al parque. Vamos para el parque. That means we want to wind up in the park. Vamos para el parque. We're going to end up at the park. That's what you're saying. Vamos. And we're talking about a space, a location. If I use vamos por el parque, it's not indicating an endpoint. Vamos por el parque means this.
Through it.
All over the place. It could mean through. Yeah. It could mean around. Yeah. See? So por with space is going to have a meaning of through, by, around. Not really an end point, but something that kind of wiggles all over. Yeah. Yeah. See, yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about por. Yeah. Caminamos por la playa. We're walking along the beach. Yeah. Doesn't really tell you. Yeah, it tells you we're kind of following along the shore there, but that's it. See, caminamos para la playa means we want to end up at the beach. That's going to be our stopping point. See, caminamos por la playa. It means we're walking along the beach. That whole line that means the shoreline. See, bien? So, por brings with it kind of, with talking about space, sort of a meandering kind of feel to it. And para gives us a very much an X marks the spot kind of feel. See, bien? I could tell you go look up por, but you're going to see a very long list of words. And it's not very helpful unless you see examples of all those different things. Oh my God. It's a long list. Yeah. Definitions with por in a dictionary. It's a long, long entry. It's long. Yeah. If you have a really good dictionary that shows you examples of usage, then you got it made. But if it doesn't, then you wind up being just very, very confused. Okay. Para, here's another, okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Para is also used quite a lot to talk about kind of an opinion, to express your idea, to express kind of an evaluation. I'll give you an example here. Para mí, un té caliente es algo calmante. For me, a hot tea is calming. Para mí, for me. Yeah. I'm kind of talking about how I feel about this thing, this nice hot tea. See? Okay. Para mí. If you're talking to you, it would have to become a para ti, right? If I'm talking about for him, it'll be para él. If I'm talking about us, para nosotros. Yeah. But it's generally meaning that now I'm telling you my opinion of this tea. Para mí, el té es muy calmante. And that I'm kind of telling you, yeah, I'm going to give you my opinion, my assessment, my evaluation. Also, we use para to kind of talk about comparisons, although that seems kind of loosey-goosey. But by comparison, something like this. Okay. Para un niño de 5 años es muy inteligente. Para un niño de 5 años es muy inteligente. For a 5-year-old, he's very intelligent. Okay. And I'm kind of comparing him on the grade of all 5-year-olds. You've got some who are pretty sharp, some who are just goofy because they're 5. Some who are flat out really goofy because they're 5. Yeah. They'll be different when they're 10. They'll be different when they're 20, we hope. But, you know, it's kind of an evaluation, see? Okay, bien. So there are lots and lots of reasons of por and para. We're going to watch some things that'll show us some examples of this. Algunos ejemplos, some examples that are pretty good examples to kind of remind us. And he's going to give us, he's going to give us some reasons too. And actually, I'm going to have a couple little chart things. Oh, actually, I'm going to show you the charts before we go, because some of these examples go pretty fast. Momentito. Bien. Okay. Vale. Pueden ver. Can you see the first chart? Por y para? No?
No.
Okay. Momentito. Oh, claro que no. Of course not. Ahora.
Oh,
Ahorita mejor, ¿no? And don't furiously copy these, because you're going to get this all sent via email. So no need to copy. Here are a lot of kind of, you could say, rules or reasons for por. See? Motion or general location. And by the way, you'll often, with location, you'll often hear a lot of people say just, está por aquí. Por aquí means around here. Again, por is a very wiggly line versus para being a straight line going to one place. Por aquí just means around here. Por allá, it's like around over there. And it's talking about very general area, see? Por is to talk about the duration of an action, how long in time it goes on, see? The means by which something is done. And we often use the idea of via or by means of, see? Hablamos por teléfono, we talk by means of the phone. We talk on the phone. We're using the phone as our means of communication, see? Por is used for that. Support. La mayoría votó por el presidente actual. The majority voted for the current president. See? Votar por. You vote for somebody. Support. Support. Look at it as in favor of.
So if
Yeah.
you said, I did not vote for him.
No voté por ese candidato. I did not vote for that candidate.
So that's not support though.
But it's still, but in the you're just making it negative is all.
Okay.
It's, yeah. See? Yeah, we're just expressing that as a negative, as a
Okay.
opposed to, yeah, as an affirmative. Yeah. Voted for, voted against. Yeah. Okay. Bien.
Yeah.
I did not vote for that person. Okay. Object of search. That one's maybe a little tougher, but here's an easier way to think of object of search. Object of search a lot, and probably this is the only practical one that you may need to know. When you talk about stopping by the store for a gallon of milk, stopping by the store for a loaf of bread, por fits the bill, is used a lot. Okay, bien. But even look at all these are a lot of rules. Are you going to memorize all these? That's going to be hard. Yeah. Okay. We've got just a few more here. Reason or cause of, well, they've got por culpa. Somebody's to blame. Don't worry about that one too much now. And the reason I say that is I'm trying to focus on things you're going to hear a lot in everyday conversation. Here's one you'll hear a lot: exchange or substitution. And this is the one that I left out. Por, always, 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 100% of the time, don't have to think about it hard. When we're talking about exchanging, like money to buy something. Yeah. Even thanks in return for a favor somebody did for you. Even though that's abstract, thanks for doing me this favor, we use por, even though there was no money exchanged. But often in exchange for, you don't have to think about real hard. Yeah. I gave him $5 for this. Le di $5 por, whatever that item is. See? So when we talk about in exchange for, so your key is when you pay for stuff, por is the word we are going to use for that. For units of measurement, like speed per hour, that idea of English per, P-E-R, that's por, right? And passive voice, but I don't really like that you use passive voice a lot, because passive voice you will read a lot. You'll hear it in news items. It's good to know, but passive voice is not a super conversational kind of structure. So passive voice means like the example you see there. El libro fue escrito por Márquez. The book was written by Márquez. Okay, by somebody. This painting was done by Cézanne, right? Oh, this chair was built by Grandpa. Yeah. The chair didn't build anything. That's why that's called passive voice. Chair is the subject, but the subject didn't do anything. The chair was built. The chair didn't get a hammer and start, no, or a screwdriver or anything like that. So passive voice, something is done by somebody, and you mentioned really who's doing something at the end of the sentence. That will use por. Okay? Bien? Para. And he's got a quiz. Para. And we're going to take a look at our para. Para is usually a little more straightforward. And we've got down here destination, a substitute for that word a deadline or specific time, a purpose or goal. And the thing that you should think of is para matched up with an infinitive, in order to. Yeah. Para is, of course, used for recipients, right? Estas hamburguesas son para Gilberto. These burgers are for Gilberto. Meaning I'm giving something to somebody. They wind up with that person. It's para. Then this is the most straightforward for of them all. Yeah. These are for you. Son para ti. Yeah. You're giving something to somebody. They're for somebody. Recipient. Okay. Comparison. See, para un gringo, el muchacho habla bien el español. For a gringo, that kid speaks Spanish pretty well. Yeah. Yeah. In all the gringos in the world, he's not the worst. He's not the, he's not even kind of middle. He's pretty good. He's above the average. Employment or job, when you work for somebody, that's expressed as para. Yeah. And opinión. Para mis amigos, las clases son muy aburridas. That's the opinion thing. Okay. Bien. So you're going to get these little rule lists, and we're going to take a look at some examples he's got in this video here now. Uy, momentito. I need to make sure I've got my audio turned on so that you can not only see him, but hear him. Bien. Okay. Vale. And he's going to fly through these para que sepan, so you know. So if you watch this again, you'll have to clearly stop it.
Hola. En esta lección vamos a hablar de algunas diferencias entre por y para. So, in Spanish, many of us gringos often confuse these two words in the Spanish language. I could break it down into rules, but first, let's see how well you do on a little quiz. Pause the video if you need more time and check the word bank if you aren't sure about a word.
Now, that's a lot of examples. and he's going to fly through them. Para que sepan, so you know. So when you watch this another time, you'll have to hit the pause button here. See? Bien? But he's going to kind of dive in later. So I'm going to let him fly through. And here are going to be a whole nother. So the key is going to be, these examples are going to be helpful examples. And he's going to go through some
Let's see how you
detail.
did. Número 1. Esa iglesia fue diseñada por Gaudí.
This church was designed by Gaudí. Okay. Gaudí doesn't, if I used para, it would mean like somebody is giving him a church idea. That doesn't, no. That would like convey a wrong idea. Yeah. Por Gaudí means this is a passive voice thing. Okay.
Estábamos en el carro y andábamos para la tienda.
We were in the car and we were going. I know you think of andar as walking, but we were going to
The destination.
Store.
destination para la tienda. We wanted to wind up. Yeah. We wanted to wind up at that place we call la tienda, right? Destination.
Número 3. Siempre caminamos por el parque.
Both por and para makes sense here, actually, but they carry a different meaning. Siempre caminamos por el parque. We always.
Yeah.
It's a wiggly
Walk
line.
to or walk around. Yeah.
We always walk around the park. We always walk through the park. Probably not along, because park isn't just a straight line. Yeah. Yeah. If it was something like beach, it might be along, but yeah, through, around, it's the wiggly line. So the intention is to say we are ambling around with no particular endpoint, but we're in this general area. Within this general area, we call el parque. Yeah. See? Bien.
Número 4. Los ciclistas iban a 50 kilómetros por hora.
The cyclists were going at
50 kilometers per hour.
50 kilometers per hour, and por hora is just per hour.
Per hour.
We're talking about a speed. Yeah, per. It's the equivalent of the English word per that we would use. And this goes back to some Latin thing. I'm not a linguist, so, but there is some Latin thing that, equates to that.
Número 5. Mi amigo me dio $10 por mi camiseta.
Oh,
My friend gave me
exchange.
$10 in exchange for this shirt. Yeah. Por indicates when we're talking about money in exchange. Okay. And even when we're talking about thanking somebody for somebody. See? Gracias por la información. Thanks for the information. Even though no money changed hands, I'm thanking you for that abstract thing that is información. Gracias por la información. Same thing. Gracias por decirme eso. Thanks for telling me that. It's something somebody did for you, but it's still an exchange. Yeah, see? But usually we use this with dólares, or whatever the monetary unit is that you want to use.
Los muchachos compraron pastel para su mamá.
Bien. Los muchachos compraron pastel para su mamá. The kids bought pastry, pie, cake, something. Yeah, pastel can be many different things, but it's always a goodie. It's a sweet goodie, sweet bready goodie. See, pie. Let's call it a pie, pastel. Kids bought pie For mom, meaning who gets the pie?
Mom.
She's the recipient.
The recipient.
Yeah. Probably her birthday. Like could be a cake. Yeah, birthday. Yeah. The person who's supposed to be the main person who really enjoys and says, wow, look at that, is mama. Yeah. See? And the recipient is really still a destination. Recipient is still a destination point. You can still look at it that. You can whittle this a lot of por and para down to that idea of destination, or is it just some wiggly thing? See, bien, okay.
Número 7. Jugamos al fútbol por 6 horas.
Jugamos el fútbol por 6 horas.
Duration.
We played football or soccer. In this case, it's going to mean soccer. We played soccer for 6 hours. It's telling how long. That's telling how long we played. It's a duration of time thing. See, it's not talking about a deadline, like when the game is supposed to end, nothing like that. If what you mean is how long somebody did it, por is the idea. Okay.
Would you comment on the second word, al? I mean, literally, it seems to mean we played at the football.
Sí, entiendo. Gracias, sí. Jugar a. This is something that I was taught as a strict rule, and I hear people using it or not, I would say in the last maybe 15, 20 years. I was always taught very strictly, like rap on the knuckles by the nuns if I didn't use it this way. Jugar a with a sport. Jugamos al béisbol, jugamos al fútbol, jugamos al tenis. That jugar needs a when you mention the sport or the game that you are playing. I do have to tell you that I sometimes hear people dropping that word It seems to be a regional thing. Some people drop it. With me, it was taught as a you must use this or shame on you kind of thing. Rap on the ruler across the knuckles for that one, for forgetting your It's just a quirk. It's, it's one of those verbs that often uses that preposition if we mention the sport or the game. That's all. And there's no translation. It will not, in that case, it does not mean to, T-O. The there does not mean to. It's just that jugar often takes that preposition a. Yeah, and there's nothing more profound than that.
Pedro quiere ahorrar dinero para comprarle un anillo a su novia.
Bien. Pedro quiere ahorrar dinero. Pedro wants to save money.
Oh, for exchange? No?
No, not exchange here.
Buy
By a ring.
In order to.
girlfriend.
To.
So sometimes we say in English, Pedro wants to save money to buy her girlfriend a ring. To buy her. But if you can substitute in there, and if it makes sense, Pedro wants to save money in order to buy. If you can substitute in order to, that's the right one. And we can. Yeah. English, you might use he's saving money in order to buy her a ring, or you can express that as he's saving money to buy her a ring. We use both ways in English. But in that context, in order to, it's para. And, comprarle, it's just got the le attached to the end because he's buying it for her with the girlfriend. And the le is representing la novia, ¿sí? Su novia. Okay.
Pregunta.
Sí, dime.
Could it be una niña por su novia?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sí. A su
Good,
novia.
A su
A
novia.
su novia. You could use para again, maybe, posiblemente, but this is a clarifying phrase. This is a clarifier saying that le means by her as opposed to by him.
Oh.
You're not buying him a ring. And the le says by her a ring, and the a su novia says that le means her, not him. It just clarifies, defines who that person le is that we're talking about in that pronoun.
But it has to be
Comprar is often used with an a phrase, often. Otro ejemplo. Mi esposo le compró un smartwatch. Le compró un smartwatch a mi hija. He bought her a smartwatch. The a talks about the le part of that. He bought it for her. And I know for, and there really is no for in that sentence. Yeah, comprar a.
But
Often, sí.
a question, is that kind of also referring to the destination a little bit? You know, like he saved the money for, you know, the girl.
No. The para is really just a flat out in order to do this.
In order to
order to buy.
Okay.
In order to buy. In order to. That's all you have to think about with that. Para often pairs up with an infinitive. That one just happens to have that little le hangnail word hung on to the end of it. Yeah. Okay. I could pare that down to the simplest example of Pedro quiere ahorrar dinero para comprar un anillo in order to buy a ring, and not mentioning who it's for. And then you get rid of the le and you get rid of the a su novia, and it still makes sense. We're just not being specific who gets that ring yet. Bien? Okay. Buenas preguntas. Vale. Un poquito más. Okay. Bien. We'll take these and see what happens here.
Juan tiene que terminar la composición para mañana.
Juan tiene que terminar la composición para mañana. Juan has to finish the composition. You might say for tomorrow, where you're more likely to say by tomorrow.
It's a deadline.
Yeah. It's a deadline. Exacto. It's a deadline. It's telling me the day. It's telling me due date. Stamp it like the librarian. Yeah. In the old libraries where they would stamp your little floppy piece of paper. See? It's a deadline. It's a deadline. Para mañana.
Número 10. Mi mamá y mi abuela hablaron por teléfono.
Fácil. By phone.
By me.
This is just a by. It's saying what they used to talk. Okay. Por teléfono. ¿Sí?
Número 11. Los guantes son para las manos.
Los guantes son para las manos. The gloves are. It's kind of a recipient thing. You know, what are gloves meant for? They wind up on your. Yeah, think of it. Yeah, they're for your hands. Well, that's where they wind up. It's a destination. That's all it is. Yeah.
Número 12. Fueron a la tienda por leche.
Here's the stop by and pick it up phrase. Yeah, here's the in search of phrase. Whenever you tell your significant other or your kids or your grandkids or whoever, hey, stop by and pick up this. This is what they use to say you're going to pick something up.
Should be para.
Yeah. Fueron a la tienda por leche. They stopped or they went to the store to pick up some milk. That's what's happening there with por. See?
Número 13. Por pegar a otro estudiante, Pedro recibió una suspensión.
This one is a tough example. It's probably not
Yeah.
one you need to focus on. This means on account of or because of.
Yeah.
Pegar here means it means that. That's the
Yeah,
pegar
yeah.
there. Pegar can also mean to glue something, like stick it on by gluing it. Here it's not that one. Pegar means this thing. Because of hitting the other kid, Pedro got
Suspension.
a suspension. Yeah. Because of hitting him, on account of hitting the kid, Pedro got, suspended. Okay. There is, we're using por with an infinitive, but it doesn't mean in order to hit the student. It means he got suspended for hitting somebody. Okay. And next we're going to use the word enano.
Número 14. Para un enano, Juan es muy alto.
That's a silly example. For a dwarf,
Oh.
for a dwarf,
gee.
Juan's kind of tall. He's a tall, that could get you canceled these days. Okay. But yeah, this is probably could have used a better example, but okay, let it go. Let's take out enano and say, para un niño de 8 años. A little more politically correct. Para un niño de 8 años, Juan es muy alto. For an 8-year-old, Juan is kind of tall. Yeah. I'm evaluating him, comparing him to all other 8-year-olds. He's taller than all the other 8-year-olds. Para un niño de 8 años, Juan es muy alto.
Número 15. Los sábados trabajo para mi papá.
Los sábados trabajo para mi papá. On Saturdays, I work for my dad. My dad is my boss. I work in whatever his company is. See? Okay. Y, por fin.
16. Para mí, el arte moderno es muy raro.
Now I'm telling what I think about something.
That's cute.
Yeah. In English, you probably wouldn't express this idea as, for me, modern art is very strange. Yeah. You'd probably say, in my opinion, modern art is kind of weird. Or you might say, I think that modern art is kind of, it's not my cup of tea. You're expressing your opinion there. ¿Sí? Bien? ¿Vale? Bueno? Okay. I will send you, sí, que son las 7:30. Since we have hit our limit, what I'm going to do is send you both some of the example, really all of the examples. You may choose to print that out if you like it or not. And the rule sheet. The rule sheet's going to be more, don't feel you have to memorize it, but you kind of get that idea of para being in very general terms, more an end point versus kind of the wiggly line that is por. And por does a lot of things. So we'll come back with that next week. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Bien.
Okay.
Yep.
Vale, perfecto, perfecto. Muchísimas gracias. Entonces, un poquito con por y para y también el video de Rambo is a little kind of silly Rambo kind of thing, but you'll get a kick out of it. Okay, todo bien. Nos vemos entonces la semana que viene, ¿sí?
Sí.
Excelente. Excelente. Muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias a todos, ¿sí? Y nos vemos la semana que viene.